Welcome back to the Maelstrom, ladies and gentlemen. We have another Warhammer 40K battle report for you today, coming to you from our brand new building that we have just completed. This will be our first game here. We're doing Khorne Demons versus Dark Eldar at 2,000 points. We are in the campaign for Aranon. That is the Dice Head campaign. If you want to get in on that, look at worldwar40k.com. You will see a lot of nifty stuff over there, a lot of missions, and it'll give you the information on how to report your results. For the opening days, this planet is a technological wonder that's been lost in the warp, so all of the missions are based around technology and regaining that edge. For this mission, there are 4 objectives, which represent power locusts. We have those spread around the street. The mission says to put them in the center of the quarters, but we went ahead and put them in places that made a little more sense on our table. And since this is a narrative campaign, we encourage all of you to feel free to do that as well. Then the center of the table, the tower here, is to represent a teleporter array. That is the ultimate objective. Both armies have planet strike capabilities and will be deep striking into play or coming on from their edges. Basically, it's like both players are the planet strike attacker minus the bombardment. We will be rolling for edges and all of that stuff coming up, but that is the general gist of the mission. We can teleport units to and from these exterior objectives once we have control of them, and we can also use the central tower to bring units on from reserve without a roll. So that gives you a general idea of the mission. The full details will be in a link in the description, and we will be right back with army lists. First up, we have the Dark Eldar.
Okay, so my first HQ in my Warlord is an Archon, and he has a Power Sword, Shadow Field, and Haywire Grenades, and he rolled Blood Dancer for his Warlord trait, so he has +1 weapon skill for this mission. My second HQ is a Homunculus with a Flesh Gauntlet. Then both of those characters will be riding in a Raider with enhanced Ether Sails that contains 9 Witches with no upgrades. Then filling out my troops, I have 4 squads of 10 Warriors with a Shredder, and they are in a Raider with enhanced Ether Sails. Then for my fast attacks, first I have 10 Scourges with no upgrades. Then I have a squad of 6 Reaver Jet Bikes with 2 Blasters. Then I have a squad of 10 Hellions, and they have a Heliarch with a Stun Claw and a Splinter Pistol. Then for my heavy supports, I have a Kronos with a Spirit Probe, a squadron of 2 Talos, both with chain flails, and a Ravager equipped with 3 Dark Lances.
Alright, so there are the Dark Eldar. Next up, we have the forces of Khorne Chaos Demons. We took the Demonic Incursion formation. For our Demon Lord, we have a Bloodthirster of Insensate Fury. He has an Axe of Khorne, and for his greater rewards, he rolled It Will Not Die and +1 wound, and he also rolled reroll invulnerable saves. I was blanking there. We have 3 squad for the Murder Horde. To start it off, we have 3 squads of Bloodletters. They have an icon and an instrument. We have 4 squads of 6 Flesh Hounds to round out those basic units. And then for the final unit, we have 5 Blood Crushers. They're still obviously work in progress, but we have 1 with an icon, 1 with an instrument, and then we have Skull Taker leading them. He is not completed yet either, but there he is, and he is obviously on a Juggernaut. Then we have a Gore Thunder Battery to finish the list out. We have a Herald with a Locust of Wrath, and then we have 3 Skull Cannons. So you have seen the armies, and you have seen the tables. The Warp Storm is about to open as the Dark Kin take the table, and we will be back as we get stuck into the Maelstrom. Alright, deployment is complete. Khorne Demons did roll lower, so they will be the attacker, and the Dark Eldar are moving into position to defend. Josh is going to walk us down his deployment.
So on my extreme left, I have 2 squads of Warriors, either Raiders, followed up by the Homunculus. In the dead center of the army is the 1 Ravager. Leading the spear point is my 3rd squad of Warriors with the Kronos behind them. My Warlord and his Witch Bodyguard are behind the Kronos. Then the 2 Talos and the remaining squad of Warriors round out my flank. Deep striking into play will be my Scourges, my Hellions, and my Reaver Jet Bikes.
Alright, and the Khorne Demons will be coming on from the edge on this turn. So we will be back following Khorne turn 1. Demons turn 1 rolls to an end. We brought on most of the stuff by Deep Strike because the mission rules allow me to do that on turn 1. We did bring the Blood Crushers, the Herald on the throne, and the Bloodthirster on from the edge. We brought in the Bloodletters first to get some icons. They have made their run moves now. but they brought in the hounds down here. All the squads of hounds dropped around. We also brought in the skull cannons here. The warp storm table rolled up the warp comm where we get the -1 invul save, but we added one to that to do Nurgle's Rot. That did not affect anyone. The only shooting of the turn was, other than running, we had skull cannons. Fire here, scored 3 hits, but we did roll a 1. So we left the homunculus ride stunned, or shaken, and with 1 hull point remaining. So that is the end of the top of 1. The Dark Eldar are going to respond, and we will be back following that. Alright, turn 1 is over. Dark Eldar have made their advance and did some pretty good shooting. Fire here, these guys moved to the flank along with the homunculus, who couldn't really do much this turn. They fired through. One squad killed 3 of the bloodletters here. The other squad killed 1 of the hounds here, lost another hound through shooting, and then these guys came in, the witches, and killed the rest of them off to score first blood. So Khorne has his tithe now. The Talos charged here against this squad of dogs, killed 1 dog, but we passed our instability check. And then we lost 3 more dogs here to the shooting from that raider. So pretty good shooting from the Dark Eldar. We will see how the ensuing assault phase goes for Khorne. We do have an immobilized skull cannon here, which is good for me. That gives me an extra shot. So we're going to go ahead and leave him and get this party rolling with 2 groups of skull cannons. But we have lost first blood, but that's okay. Khorne still gets it one way or another. And we will be back as the Khorne Demons take their second turn. Khorne Demon turn 2 rolls to an end. It was a pretty bloody one. Everything moved up here trying to get charges. The Bloodthirster moved in and charged here, destroyed both of the Talos, and they consolidated out. But 1 dog was destroyed before he got his chance to swing. We destroyed this raider with the 3 flesh hounds there. In the gap here, we charged the Archon. We lost a hound and a half, but we did bust his invul save and pass our instability check. The Bloodletters here popped their banner of blood, made their charge after losing 2 men on Overwatch, and destroyed this raider, dropped those warriors out. And down here, we destroyed the last raider with the Warp Storm this turn, the Homunculus raider rather, the last hull point in it. We rolled Rot, Glorious Rot, and rolled 5 hits and 2 sixes, which was enough to finish it off and leave them out in the street, and they did pin. So Skulltaker and his Juggernauts popped their banner of blood, charged through the gap. Skulltaker took 1 wound on Overwatch before they busted this raider. These warriors fell out and were pinned as well. So this flank is fairly well shut down, but lots of Dark Eldar bodies still in the fight. We are beginning the slaughter in earnest. We will see if their shooting in this coming turn can kill enough of the demons to drive them back. We will be back following Dark Eldar turn 2. Dark Eldar turn 2 comes to an end. Shooting down here, the last warrior squad fired and did absolutely nothing to Skulltaker and his guys. But the 2 squads that were snap shooting managed to put another wound in Skulltaker. Or no, that came from the disintegrator cannon here, rather. So they did do something, I lied. But the 2 more Juggernauts went down to fire from the 2 Overwatch squads. Or snap firing squads, rather. So we lost 2 Juggernauts, took a wound in another, and Skulltaker is sitting at 1 wound. These warriors moved up, fired here, and were able to kill 4 of the 5 Bloodletters, but couldn't hardly finish the job. Kronos came in here during his charge with the Archon. They managed to do 1 wound each to 2 more of the Pooches, but the dogs were able to bring down the Archon and kill him since his 2-up went out last turn. And I don't remember saying it the turn before, but the witches did die when the skull cannons detached from their squadron where he was immobilized and blew all of the witches apart. Down here, these warriors and the Hellions, which came in from Deep Strike Reserve and were unfortunately his only reserve to arrive, because he did lose control of the tower at the beginning of my turn. They came in, the 2 squads fired together into the Bloodthirster, knocked 5 of his 6 wounds out. Thankfully, I rolled that corpulent form, and he was able to survive with 1 wound remaining. So that is the end of 2. Demon response in 3 is coming back, and we will be back to you after that. Khorne turn 3 rolls to an end. The skull cannons here pilled around. Fired their shots downrange, killed 7 of the 10 Hellions. The other 3 made their morale check. The lone skull cannon fired his shot through the gap here, killed a handful of those warriors that were in the street. The skull chariot charged and destroyed the rest of them in melee before consolidating out. Down here, lost another Juggernaut on Overwatch, but we did charge in and destroy this last raider. Warriors fell out and continued the pinning tradition on this flank, unfortunately. Bloodthirster charged in and joined the attack against the Kronos here. He was able to cut it down with a 6 on his Axe of Khorne at initiative 10. and or initiative 9 rather, and he consolidated it out and regained a wound with It Will Not Die. Here, these warriors apparently realized all the craziness coming in. They scored 14 hits on Overwatch and killed 2.5 flesh hounds. The other 2 charged in along with the bloodletters, and we lost 1 bloodletter and 1 wound on a flesh hound before the 10 warriors were cut down. So this objective has also been despoiled at that point. The Dark Eldar are going to roll for their reserves, and we will be back. Oh, forgot one thing. We rolled Nurgle's Rot again. And killed 4 guys here. That was the only hit that we got, but they passed their morale check. So that is the end of turn 2, and or was that was top of 3. And Dark Eldar are going to respond. We'll be back following their turn. Turn 3 rolls to an end. The Dark Eldar still do not get their reserve rolls. The Hellions moved up here to cleanse this objective. The Bloodletters here in the center took fire from the warrior squads as they were advancing, lost 4 of the Bloodletters there. Everything else in the middle, the 2 vehicles, turned into the Bloodthirster. I used his rerollable imball. He was able to survive with 1 wound. He punched 1 more hole in him again, but the Ravager was unable to get the job done. So he's still there with 1. The Juggernauts down here, I did forget to mention last turn, Skulltaker killed himself trying to climb out of here. So they were debuffed of him for the witches to charge in, and since they rolled +1 strength for drugs, they were wounding me on 3s, and Juggernauts are not so juggernauty against strength 5. They went down and were destroyed. That is the end of turn 3. The Khorne Demons are going to go again, and we will be back as turn 4 swings down. Khorne Demons finished their turn 4, and we are going to go ahead and call it there. The Deep Strikers are left along with the Witch Survivors down here. Walk through that turn. These guys moved over, fired and killed the last of the Hellions, and re-corrupted this objective. We assaulted here and destroyed this with the Bloodletters and the Fleshhounds and corrupted that objective. These Fleshhounds and the Bloodthirster came in down here and destroyed the Ravager. It exploded but did no damage. Down here, these warriors were gobbled on by the Fleshhounds, and the Bloodletters charged through the gap here and finished off the last of these warriors. The Skull Chariot, or Blood Throne, charged up here. It killed the Homunculus in a challenge, but the witches drug the rider off and killed him. So at that point, that will be a Khorne Demons victory. We will have after-action reviews and detailed army lists at the blog as always. Give us a like on Facebook. That's the best place to see our content as it comes out, and a subscription on YouTube lets more people see what we're doing. Stay tuned. We're going to continue with the new building, get the armies finished up, and get the painting done, and get some more decorations in here. The walls are a little bare at the moment. But that is the end of our first battle report in the new building. We hope you guys enjoyed it. And as always, thank you for spending time with us today at the Maelstrom.